Hey Baylor fans, this is your call to gear up with Harley-Davidson of Waco. Whether you're hitting the open road or tailgating at McLean Stadium, we've got the ride to match your Bear pride. Check out our wide selection of new and pre-owned motorcycles, visit our service department, or shop all the latest gear and accessories to show off your Baylor spirit and Harley pride. Visit us today and find your freedom on two wheels. Harley-Davidson of Waco, where Baylor fans never ride alone. Visit in-store or at hdwaco.com. Sic Em Bears. Welcome into the Sic Em Podcast. We welcome in Baylor volleyball coach Ryan McGuyre. Coach, it's great to see you. Great to catch up with you in the heat of the conference schedule. And, man, y'all are off to a great start in league play. Thanks for being on with us.
Yeah, J-Mo, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to visit with you and talk with you.
Sounds great. How about the start to league play? That first week, Arizona comes in undefeated, and you knock them off undefeated on the season. And then you play Arizona State, a nationally ranked team. You win those two at home to start conference play. That's a great way to open league play.
Yeah, there's going to be no easy matches in Big 12 this season. It's a testament to our conference, really strong volleyball conference. Adding Arizona State coming over from the old Pac-12. Yeah, Arizona coming in 11-0, so they know how to win, real physical. Good for us to start conference, beating an undefeated program. They're going to be a juggernaut this year. They just knocked off BYU last night. So it's a good team, good program. I thought we got off to a good start, a little bit of a lull in that third set. And then, at the time, 14th ranked Arizona State coming in. They have some significant wins. They handled TCU really, really well earlier in the week. So that was a big matchup for us. And we really liked how we executed in that one. I think some of the things we've struggled on earlier in the year, we really shored up and executed the game plan in those first two sets. They did a great job making some adjustments in the third, and we were a little flat, but we were able to counter it and turn it into a great volleyball match. And our girls played hard, really executed well, great balance, and just love how our middles developed, and we're kind of the story of the match.
This league is really good, isn't it? And it seems like, even losing Texas and Oklahoma, significant losses, but it is really good. 5 ranked teams in the top 25 this week.
Yeah, and you got others receiving votes. You got another 4 or 5 that are top 30, top 20, top 50 in there. So it's, again, like I said earlier, there's going to be no easy matches. It's high-level volleyball. Like, everybody has elite level athletes on their programs. And you got a lot of established coaches that have really done well, some for decades, some for multiple years. And it's just great, good volleyball.
Yeah. This is the schedule this year is kind of interesting in one aspect, in that it's sort of kind of homecoming schedule, kind of old home schedule. Like, you'll see, you played SMU, and that's Sam Erger, who's your former assistant. She's doing well up there. You'll see Jason Williams, at TCU. But even Hawaii and the connections there was pretty good. And even Arizona State, Presley Anderson was an assistant on that staff. You got to be proud of the connections and your coaching tree that continues to expand.
Yeah, I think, for starters, my hope is that God is the head coach here in the program, and we're just all learning how to be great assistant coaches to him. I think the older I get, it's exciting to see Presley out there coaching. Sam's doing a great job. Jason doing a great job. I got Trevor, Eric doing great jobs. Mike, Blair, a lot of former players that are out there coaching. And other ones that, Marika Vandermark just coaching the youth and how she's doing those things and impacting. So it's my hope is that they've all had these great experiences in coaching. And we see coaching as an opportunity to be powerful influencers. And so, a lot of these former athletes and former coaches, I think, are just not only doing a good job coaching, but really having a powerful influence in their community and the programs they're working with.
Not your former assistants, but Hawaii, when they played here a couple of weeks ago, that was cool, the connections with Jen, and then, of course, Coach Walker also with Hawaii.
Yeah, so Jen played with the head coach, Robin Moy, so they were in the Final Four last century, but back in the 90s, and then Coach Walker, won a couple national championships on the men's side, assistant coach at Hawaii, played there. I actually coached against him, so when I was coaching men, he was on the other side of the net. We didn't win those matches when he was playing, so can't beat him. See if I can get him to join us. But really, what a faithful man, and he and his family. 5 kids now. It's been a blessing to have them here. They love growing up in Waco, in the community, and they speak to families welcome. So we love having kids run around and join us when we can.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love the family aspect of the way you run the program, and that's your family. I mean, Jen is always there. How fun is it for you to have Tristan and Ryder around and really, a part of your program now?
Yeah, Tristan's a junior now, a manager on our staff, and I've been able to see him more than I did in high school between his schedule and our schedule. So just to see his maturity and just how he's always been so shy. So I'm thankful for our team and kind of breaking him out of the shell and everything. And then if you know Ryder, youngest, he's the opposite of shy. And so normally he's right there in there with the student section heckling, and Jen will get a lot of comments. I'm like, oh yeah, we saw Ryder on TV and he was cheering. He had a balloon train. He was twerking on ESPN, so. He's got his own style and personality, but I love seeing him grow up as well.
That's cool. And Katana, we don't want to leave her out, but she's away at school, at your old school, right, in California.
Yeah, Katana's at Baylor University, so my alma mater, starting off strong. Super proud of her. She actually filmed like a 2-week Survivor show in the middle of the woods in Kentucky right before, so I think that was a good coming of age experience, and she survived well, and ready for that show to come out. We'll see what she says about her parents and everything in that, but love her strength and resiliency, and excited about the experience she'll have at my alma mater at Baylor.
When's that supposed to be out? When's that show supposed to be released?
When they finished shooting, they said it could be 8 months to a year before it goes out. So it's pilot season. I believe it's going to be called Call of the Wild, but they got to work through all those trademarks and all those things, and we'll wait to see what network picks it up. The producer was Undercover Boss, The Bachelor. The showrunner was one of these for Naked and Afraid. So she kept her clothes on. Everything's good there, but it's right now she wants to be a Hollywood stunt double, so I think anything on camera, it's kind of good for her field as well.
Wow. Hey, that's pretty cool. And did she give you can she talk about the show? Like, can she tell y'all privately how it went and what's coming up?
Yeah, no, we spoke in detail about it. I was really excited, and it's going to be 8 or 9 episodes. There's a group of 7 teenagers and kind of all different backgrounds and personalities. I think the producer really wants to help college students kind of feel equipped, because there's so much mental health and anxiety and the inability to connect with each other when they get to college, because they're so used to being on their phones. So they had different challenges and events. A different one was kind of elected as a leader for the day, and they passed the event. They were able to eat. So if they didn't, they would lose something. And then each night, they got rid of fire. They had to get rid of shelter. They had to get rid of water. They had to get rid of food. And so by the end, they're kind of in solitude, but they're also learning skills on how to make fire, how to fish, how to cook turtles and other animals and crawdads, and what's poisonous, not poisonous, and stay warm. So, yeah, really excited about when that comes out.
That's cool. Of your 3 kids, would Katana be the one most likely to do this?
Oh, 100%. I think Tristan and Ryder are like, not for me.
Right.
We obviously named her Katana. That's after a samurai sword. So there's a sense of adventure. We're going for the idea of strong and beautiful, but powerful and in the master's hands. So, when I got there to pick her up, it was great. The production crew, there's like 50 of them, and all the cameramen and everything. They're like, she was our favorite. She was strong. She was probably whispering to him more than she should have, like, give us peanut butter, give us extra food, like, hey, sneak this in. And she talked about, that she'd see a big thumb stick out from behind some trees and stuff as they're filming. But they did some rappelling and rock climbing, and she was first to go or highest to go up. And but really for me as a father, the takeaway. And this is my hope, because we were kind of going to do a father-daughter event before this, and so that kind of replaced it. And I didn't get to be part of it, but talk about what are some, she worked on survival skills there, like what are some spiritual survival skills for college, and we can't survive without water, but can you have living water? Where does your strength come from? Hey, we can't panic, but be still and rest to be able to refuel and find strength. So we're able to have a lot of those healthy conversations as well. And then she really is the most like me of my kids. And, emotions are important. We have them for a reason, like God gave them to us. But at that age, I felt like they were just kind of an interruption to what I wanted to compete in, what I wanted to achieve. And so I think for me, she learned some empathy through this experience and realizing, hey, like other people around us don't have the same gifts, talents we have, and they might struggle in the physical activity. Like, how can you come along and be a leader and help them? Or, in high school, she could never relate to the drama of the boyfriends that her friends had. It's like, well, their boys are done, just get over it. But, we want to be able to do that in a way where we can still have a connection, still have an influence. So that was part of the experience as well. There's a survivalist and a therapist, and, like many of us talking to our teenagers, how was school? Fine. It really, she came out of it a little bit in more touch with her emotions and be able to expand on kind of what she's experiencing. I think that's a healthy quality for all college athletes, to be able to formalize that and not get stuck and not get lost and when things don't feel the same as they did before, especially when you're away from home.
Well, she and all your kids are very well prepared for whatever comes in college and whatever comes beyond. You and Jen have done a great job raising them to this point. How about, you mentioned the samurai sword and her name, Katana. If folks are watching our Sic Em podcast, if you're listening, I have to describe it, but if you're watching, you'll see some swords behind Coach McGuyre in his office. What does that go back to? How did you start that?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a long story, but I think for starters, my grandfather on my mom's side, incredible engineer. He's got some patents but he's also like a master woodsmith. And so as a little kid, we'd go over to see grandma and grandpa, and he'd take us back to the wood shop. Hey, what do you want to make? And at one point we made a sword, and hey, the hilt, the blade, do we want it curved? Like he was just so skilled, and then we could paint it. All right, we want gold handle, we want silver. Okay, now we're gonna go black. Let's do a pirate sword. Let's do a knight's sword, and go through that. And I kind of came away with a handmade, detailed toy, really, that my grandfather was able to make. And so I think from there's a kind of an affinity for it. In third grade, my mother was my teacher, and went to private Christian school. And so she taught us the books of the Bible all the way, Genesis through Revelation. That was the age. And one of the drills was sword drill, so God's word being the sword, and she'd name a reference, and then, whichever student of the 30 could find it in their Bible and stand up and read it. And I think the reward then was, cut out poster board swords that, again, you can decorate and color and do. And then, some people collect spoons or coins or pins. I think for me, the affinity, like I received the sword as a gift at like 6th grade from my aunt who visited Spain, and that was different than the Transformers or the old He-Man characters that I was getting. And then so volleyball really has taken me all over the world in many different countries. So that's also being a history major, something that I kind of looked for. So like, hey, if I'm going to Russia, up behind me there's a a Russian sword. Then we got swords from Asia up there. And then, really for me, there's a kind of a verse associated with each of these swords, and I won't get into them now, but it's, God's word being double-edged swords. When I think of example would be the gladiator sword behind me. So from the movie Gladiator with Russell Crowe, just how God is our triumph. The old Roman, when they conquer a city, a triumph was this big parade that would go through the town, and it happened like once in a lifetime. But there was so they burn incense and a smell, and a triumph is just kind of like, hey, there's victory right here. And as Christians, are called smell like Christ. When people are around triumphant people, do they see the victory and the glory of what the Lord is doing? And that's one of our words this year. On my wall, I have a Sword of Solomon, because I really love Proverbs. Those are quotes and verses and practical wisdom that we're applying. So that was a team gift from 2018 Baylor team. So a treasured and cherished one. And then another one in here is from Lord of the Rings. That was a team gift back 2004. So it's the King's Sword that was shattered by pieces early in the movie, reforged by fire, and then is the victorious sword there at the end. 2003 team that I had, injuries, car accidents, some things weren't even volleyball related. We were 1 win and 19 losses in conference. I think I didn't get fired because we beat the rival. That was the only reason I survived another year, and that's because they beat us so bad the first 2 sets. They put the subs in. We were at least good enough to beat them, and the starters were so cold by the time they got in. It was a rough year, but we wanted to persevere. And then by God's miracle, we had some good recruits, but we got healthy and came back. We won a national championship in 2004. So from kind of worst to first, and so that's probably the most meaningful one, and just encouragement to persevere. I don't wish I think we're 9-23 and 1-19 conference. I don't wish that on anyone, but I do feel for all coaches when you go through a season like that, it kind of burns away. Here's what's really important, and it lets you focus on what the big picture is. And then when you have the wins, you can cherish those things. And so that was really formative. And so when I look at that sword in here, that's a reminder to persevere. That's a reminder to, even when I feel broken or stub our toe with a loss, hey, we can use it and be reforged and even tougher, stronger, and sharper as we move forward. I can speak about all of them from different movies that bring up different verses.
That's cool. The connection to, they're very meaningful. Each one's very meaningful and ties to a verse and ties to a great analogy and story that you share with your student athletes, right? And maybe even recruits when they come in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's something that catches their eye, so they want to ask about it. And, again, for each one, I can speak to something. I think we'll add a longer one on Baylor Plus. Madeline was asking a little bit about it, but the top one up here is it's Basket Hilt Claymore. Rob Roy, one of my favorite movies. Liam Neeson's in it, but the theme of that one is just honor, and what does honor mean? There's a great conversation that the father-son having there. And one of the things I'm thankful that my parents taught me is of all the commandments, honor your mother and father, and it'll go well with you. It's the only commandment with a promise there. And so, having lost both my parents, not too long ago, it's also, I look at that one, I'm like, hey, I know how I try to honor them as a son, but how can I continue to honor them now, and the things that they implement for me there. So, yeah, each one has a little bit of story and takes me to a little place, and it's kind of big memories for me.
Man, that's terrific. Any issues, you traveled all over the world and gotten these from far-flung places? You got to get them back to Waco or back wherever you're living at the time. But you can't check that, right? You can't carry that on the plane.
Yeah, well, a lot of it was pre-9/11.
Okay.
So, there was a time where you could, walk up to the gate and wait for people to get off or go wait with them there.
Right.
I think, on these volleyball trips, I know the ones, that I have from Asia, as a group of guys, we packed them all together, checked it in, and we're all right, we'll either all get them or we won't. We did that. So but a lot of them have been fortunate to get checked in and do it. So it's my wife and I honeymooned in Fiji, so they didn't really have swords, but kind of came home with a big, giant, long cannibal club, for cracking heads open and eating brains and the closest thing to it. But I've been able to do it, and then others have been shipped, or others I've seen it's some auctions or different places picked up along.
Does the Cannibal Club have a spot alongside the swords?
Not no. That's probably the behind the door if you hear a bump in the night. So
yeah.
So that's
I got you.
That's the go-to if you feel like somebody's sneaking in at night.
Probably makes you feel safe, I'm sure.
Yeah.
How about the Farrell Center? Basketball moved out last year. They've got a brand new home in Foster Pavilion, but it's a real plus for you guys too, isn't it? Volleyball and acrobatics and tumbling.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the biggest part is just the freedom for the athletes to be able to train whenever it's best and conducive for their time. And so I think when all of the sports were in here and we're sharing the facilities, that everybody at some point had to make a small sacrifice, like, all right, we're going to have to train a little bit earlier in the morning than what's ideal, or we're going to go a little bit longer at night than what's ideal. Or when you're setting up for games, we like to have multiple nets so we can spread out, be more efficient with our reps. And, if you have 18 people need to work on serving in one net, it's hard to get through everybody. But if you can put 5 or 6 on 3 nets, you can get those faster. So we're able to do that more often, because when the bleachers are out for basketball game days, our volleyball game days, we really just have the one net. So now even when we're set up for volleyball, we still have the practice tube so we can get in there. And so I think, both programs, Acro obviously winning all their national championships, you have athletes that enjoy their craft. So it's not like any of them feel like forced to do, like they want to come in and work on their own. And we've always encouraged them to make their game their own as well as we come alongside and do it. So the mental gymnastics, I think it just is no longer there. Like, how do we fit all these programs in? So that's been a huge, huge blessing for sure. And then as you've seen, we got a new TerraFlex floor. The court looks sharp. It's really good. But it's also designed specifically for volleyball, so it's not hurting knees and shins, ankle. Like, we're not bleeding as much when we're diving, rolling, and sprawling, going for the floor. So I think the athletes' bodies really, really appreciate it, which lets us kind of train even harder and get a little bit more out of them because they're able to recover faster and be ready the next day.
Looks really good too. I mean, that is such a clean look, with that TerraFlex floor.
Yeah, I think now when you come to the Farrell Center, you can tell it's going to be a volleyball event or it's acrobatics tumbling event, versus where maybe before we're just kind of taping and kind of playing on a basketball court. Like it looks like a volleyball venue, and it will for acro when they're up.
All right, switching gears here as we record this. Last night, you had an ice cream event with your team. Do you mind sharing with us how the team earns a trip to get ice cream?
Yeah, so it's probably something I started a long, long time ago, probably back when coaching the men. And, to earn it is we're looking for a run of 7. At the end of the day, to win matches, we're trying to not give up a run of 3 throughout the entire way to 25, and we're really just looking for 3 runs of 3 during that span. And like mathematically, if you can do that, like you're always going to win. If you don't give up a run of 3, and so we really just want one server to go back there, get a run of 3, and then 2 more over the many opportunities that you have to do that. But for ice cream, if you can go back there and you can serve 7 and score 7 points off your serve, obviously that's breaking the soul and the spirit of your opponents to get a run that's long. But I think also there's sometimes the tendency, and again, going back to the man where they're jumping, serving topspin jump serves, it's kind of like, oh man, I already scored 4, I scored 5. I found they're like, okay, how can I just show off and hit the ball as hard as I can and go for that amazing home run, hit it 100 miles an hour, and that was normally hurting people in the stands or something and not scoring points for us. And so it's really to kind of incentivize one way to play and go back there. Let's go back there and make the serve. And sometimes that's hard because you feel like, okay, I'm doing well, so I want to go maybe even tougher than what I'm doing. But we don't need that. The other team's struggling and doing it. So, we've been able to earn. I owe them 3. Well, I only owe them 2 more right now. And it's really hard to do. So we'll see. I might be in trouble if I keep doing it, but. We've had 3 times where we've had servers go back there and serve runs of 7 for us. So I treat them ice cream. I owe them ice cream, and they definitely do not let me forget about that. They're quick to know. So hopefully, with 3 road games next week, we can get another one and maybe catch a little ice cream on the way back to the hotel.
Very cool. Hope you have a lot of trips to the ice cream store the remainder of the season. We appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Thanks for the way you run the program and the way you invest in the lives of these student athletes. I mean, they're changed forever by having gone through your program. So changed into eternity. So thanks for that, and love the way you run your program and continued success.
John, thank you. Baylor's a special place, and we got so many coaches that are doing that here as well. So I'm glad that I get to be here, and my values and passions are in full alignment with the great leadership we have here at Baylor.